This is AP Environmental Science, Chapter 6, The Human Population and Its Impacts. This is section number 1. How do environmental scientists think about human population growth? For this section, there is one key concept. The continuing rapid growth of the human population and its impacts on natural capital raise questions about how long the human population can keep growing. Human population growth shows certain trends. Estimates of what the global human population is likely to be in 2050 range from 7.8 billion to 10.8 billion people, with a median projection of 9.6 billion people. For the year 2100, the projected population size ranges from 8 billion to 16 billion. These varying estimates depend on a variety of factors that we consider in more detail later in this unit. However, demographers or population experts recognize 3 important growth trends. First of all, in recent decades, the rate of population growth has slowed, but the world's population is still growing, at a rate of about 1.2%. This may not seem like much, but in 2012, this growth added about 84 million people to the population, an average of more than 230,000 people each day, or almost 3 more people every second. Second, demographers recognize that geographically, human population growth is unevenly distributed, and this pattern is expected to continue. About 2% of the 84 million new arrivals on the planet in 2012 were added to the world's more developed countries. And that's where population is growing exponentially at about a 0.1% a year. The other 98% were added to the world's middle and low income, less developed countries where the population is growing exponentially, 14 times faster at about 1.4% a year on average. At least 95% of the 2.6 billion people projected to be added to the world's population between 2012 and 2050 will be born into the least developed countries, which are not equipped to deal with the pressures of such rapid growth. The world's 3 most populous countries are, in order, China, India, and the United States. In 2012, more than 1 of every 3 persons on the earth lived in China, with 19% of the world's population, or India, with 18%. A third important trend in the human population growth is the movement of people from rural areas to cities. More than half of the world's people now live in urban areas, or cities, and surrounding the suburbs. The great majority of these urban dwellers live in less developed countries where resources for dwelling with rapidly growing populations are limited. Human population growth impacts natural capital. As the human population grows, so does the global total human ecological footprint, and the bigger this footprint, the higher the overall impact on the Earth's natural capital. The 2005 Millennial Ecosystem Assessment concluded that human activities have degraded about 60% of the Earth's ecosystem services. This raises a question that many scientists are now studying. How many people can the Earth support indefinitely? Some analysts contend that we are to define the planet's cultural carrying capacity, the maximum number of people who could live in reasonable freedom and comfort indefinitely without decreasing the ability of the Earth to sustain future generations. Previously, we discussed exponential growth. Analyzing both exponential and logistic growth for environmental science is highly important. Exponential growth, or the J-curve, shows that over time a population continues to increase in size. However, logistic growth shows a population over time will continue to grow until it gets close to reaching the carrying capacity, or K. A population will go just over carrying capacity until it runs out of resources, then decrease underneath carrying capacity until new resources are formed, then continue to go back up above carrying capacity, and the pattern will go back and forth over time. This is known as the S-curve. And this concludes this section of AP Environmental Science. Feel free to review or repeat this lecture or any of the other APES lectures through the provided platform.